my experience is that when people are somewhat food addicted and it's hard for them to make that change to eating a healthy diet, especially in the real world where people are ostracizing them or making them feel uncomfortable. And this person, his whole life is going after pleasing other people and behaving in a way to make the desires of their parents, their family, their friends, their workers, their coworkers, and trying to collect brownie points of having people like them and look superior in the eyes of their peers. Right. And when you go out and you're going to be different, and you say, I'm not really drinking alcohol anymore. I'm not going to go to restaurants with you. I'm not going to sit down and have, and go into the. It's that you have to have a different way to build connections. Number one, and number two, this person's not going to survive or thrive on this diet with this diet change unless they have robust emotional health. And the foundation of and your book of what you wrote about is talks about all of the foundation and a lot of the techniques and exercises to build that robust emotional health, so you then can follow a diet and do better with giving up your addictions and the things that you are that you've used as a stress reliever or used as a connection or used to socialize with other people. People socialize over drinking coffee, over drinking alcohol, and sharing unhealthy food. That's what this country is all about.
Right. And we each have a section in the book where we say, if life otherwise stinks and all you have going for you is what you're eating for dinner, it's going to be really hard to all of a sudden go from a super stimulating sort of drug effect that you get from every meal at dinner, especially, and going to something that's natural and less stimulating. So food has become this, and this is where nonviolent communication is really helpful. It sounds like you almost have have you heard of nonviolent communication?
No, it's the first time I'm hearing it.
Very interesting. It's almost like this intuitively, right? But it's this idea that we're always trying to meet needs. It's about a needs-based consciousness, right? Everybody has the same needs. For example, I have a need for safety, I have a need for food, I have a need for choice, I have a need for meaning and purpose, I have a need for love, connection, right? We all have those same needs. That's how we can come together. We have different strategies around meeting them. Food, for most people, is not just meeting the need, for physical sustenance, right? It's meeting many other needs for them. Connection, that's how grandma expresses her love, right? It's belonging, I fit in so all these needs are being met by food when really you want food to only meet one need, right? That sort of just the health, and that's it, right? And then you use other strategies to meet your needs for meaning and purpose and connection and love. But when people are used to using food in this other way, and you try to pull out of that, all of a sudden people are like, what? How do I meet my need for love for you, honey? I cook for you, I bake for you. That's the only way I know how to express my need for love. So if you can tell them, I know you want to love me and food is your way of expressing it, but I'm really trying to figure out a way to accept and receive your love in a way that also meets my need for health. Would you be willing to talk about this so that we can meet all the needs? Right? It's not one or the other, a winner and a loser.
Right.
But once you identify the needs, then you can help them because they don't even realize that's what they're doing.
Right. And also it's kind of like the ego creates this feeling of disconnection or loneliness and I'm thinking that the person who's so attuned to being hurt by other people and so dependent on the way other people see them, then they're laying themselves in a vulnerable position because they're more easily angered, more easily upset. They're going to feel the threat from any kind of perceived disapproval from another person, and they're going to lay themselves also under being vulnerable to other unhealthy habits.
Exactly, and to me, that's the need for acceptance. We all have a need for acceptance, including self-acceptance, right? And one of our tragic strategies to meet our need for acceptance is approval. Approval is one strategy of many. Right. So how can I get a sense of being accepted that doesn't require other people to approve of me?
Right.
And that's what I think you're getting at.
Yes.
And it's you create a lot of suffering in your life, even though that's how we were taught, right? You were a good kid when mom and dad approved of you. You were a good student when you got good grades and your teacher approved of you. You were a good worker when your boss gave you a bonus and they approved of you. So we've been educated in this way to be disconnected from our needs and instead focused and sort of feeding off this power over mentality, this external measure of what you should do instead of intrinsic.
Yeah, and posting like pictures on Facebook to get people approval of how you look, or whatever. All these superficial qualities that we're trying to get other people to approve of us to collect, and it's a never-ending, bottomless pit that goes nowhere, and you never really get truly satisfied when you keep going after that the approval.
Right, and I would say it's even worse on social media because I don't know what the stats were, but I thought it was like for every selfie someone puts on there, they try about 100 pictures before they land on one. So what they're doing is they're giving themselves 99 critical experiences saying, that's ugly, that's not good, they're not going to like that. So even though they put this beautiful one-time picture and they think, oh, great, I'm meeting my need for connection and acceptance, you're actually beating yourself up every time you say you find something wrong with your picture or you add a filter because you're pointing out a flaw, right? So imagine kids like beating themselves up over and over again. It's really harmful.
Yeah, and they can never meet that criteria of like being a movie star or being a model. They're always comparing themselves against on the internet and trying to be perfect. And who's perfect? And they're trying to be, and it's very, very not only superficial, it's like hurtful to their emotional growth.
Hurtful. I would agree. It's very, very damaging.
Yeah.
And it's not that I would say you got to take it away from people, but we do have, I want to raise their awareness to the pain this is stimulating, even if they're not aware of it.
Yeah.
Right? It really does hurt them.